So this is Key Seeker. It's a free web app where you can practice working out the key of a song. You just listen to the loop. Figure out the tonic by playing around. Choose a tonality. Check your answer. Oops. Guess I should have used some kind of technique or something instead of just guessing randomly. Let me show you the best technique for figuring out the key of a song by ear. The key of a song is made up of two aspects, the tonic and the tonality. The tonic is the key center. It's the note that feels like home, or resolution, or completion. And the tonality tells us whether the key is major or minor based on how the other notes relate to the tonic. Let's look at the most efficient techniques for figuring out both aspects, and then we can put them together, and when you put some practice in, you'll be able to work out the key of basically any song in 30 seconds or less. Okay, so to find the tonic, the ideal method is to listen to the song for enough time that you get a real sense of it, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever it takes, or one time through the loop in the case of Key Seeker, and then to find the note which resolves the music, that is, the note which feels like home or resolution or completion or whatever you want to describe that as, like when you play a scale and you hear this. That feeling, the note that would resolve everything maybe at the end of a song or at the end of a melody, that's the note we're looking for. And what you can actually do is listen to the thing, take it in, pause the music, and then imagine the song resolving and sing the note or find the note on an instrument that resolves it. That's the ideal method. So I'm going to play a little bit of this song, enough for us to get the context of the key into our ears, that I'm going to pause it, and I want you to imagine the resolution. Imagine the song coming to a close into one note. What is the one note that would feel most resolved, like the home note? Okay, let's try. Can you hear it? If you're unsure, what you can do is look or listen in the music for the note itself. And a typical place to look for that is the last note of a melody. Now, that's not a guarantee at all. Like, don't assume the last note of a melody is the tonic. It's definitely not always the case, but it's a good place to look. So let's look at that here. I'm going to rewind the song a little bit, and we'll listen again. Now I'm going to find that note. Okay, it's B flat in this case. And so to me, that feels like the note that would resolve the piece. Then once we've got the tonic, we ask the question, is it major or minor? To me, this feels minor. So I'm going to click minor, and we check that. A. So we'll look at doing the tonality here in a second, but let's also look at one more technique for getting the tonic. So if you're not able to mentally resolve the song clearly into a single note or to really hear it in a melody or something, you can use another technique, which is to listen for the bass note on the chord that feels like home. On the tonic chord, the bass note is most likely the tonic itself. That is, if C minor felt like home and we had a bass playing, then that would be the note we're looking for. So if we can hear the bass note, and then sing it, we can find that note, and that's what we're going to try now with this next track. Okay, so this time let's listen for the chords and try to figure out which chord feels most like home. What is the tonic chord, the most stable chord? The chord that the song could end on, right? Let's listen. It's 3 chords. What do you think? So to me, it sounds like the first chord in the progression is the tonic chord, the resolution. So I want to listen to the bass note of that chord. So I'm just going to listen for where it occurs here in the track. Can you hear the bass note? Right? So now I just need to find what tone that is. So it's in a different octave that I'm singing it, but of course it doesn't matter. The octave is irrelevant here. We just want the note. And then again, we're going to choose, is it major or minor? To me, this feels like a major key song, so we're going to check. Success. Now, if you're a Sonofield user or you do some kind of scale degree based ear training, you can use those skills here. You don't even need the tonic in that case. You just need any scale degree that you recognize. So the technique would be something like just play. Get the vibe. Play a note. So to me, that's 5. So if it's E flat and that's 5, then of course I know what 1 is and I can solve it. So there are many techniques to figure out the tonality of a song, like whether it's major or minor. However, from my perspective, the ideal, as in what we want, what we're shooting for, is to do it purely by vibe, instinctively. And to get started with this, here's my recommendation. You listen to the track, you get the tonic, and then once you've got the tonic, you simply listen to it. You listen to the sound of the tonic note itself in isolation, and it's like the whole quality of the song will become enfolded into the tonic, or the tonic is imbued with the feeling, emotional color or quality or whatever you want to say of the song, the majorness or the minorness, in addition to its sense of stability and completion and resolution and so on. There will be this polarity, this coloring of the whole thing put into it in some way. It's kind of hard to describe. Let's give it a try. Okay, take a listen. I've got the tonic selected already. Now listen. Does this note feel majory, bright, positive, warm, or minory, kind of dark, melancholy, somber? To me, I hear that note and the whole feeling of the song is in there in some way. And then I'm just going to choose whatever that is, because that's the skill I want to train, is to be able to hear the tonic or even imagine it or sing it or whatever, and the wholeness of the song is imbued in it, and I go with that. With practice, you don't even need to play the tonic. You just listen to the thing, and all of a sudden it becomes obvious. This is a major key song. This is a minor key song. Pair that with the tonic, and the job's done. But this technique is a great one to get familiar with because it gets you focusing on the tonic, and then the marriage of the tonic and the tonality come together, and you repeat that over and over again. So of course, if we listen to this again, and we listen to the tonic, sure sounds minor, right? So just like with the tonic, it's good to have some backups in case the vibe is just not totally obvious to you for a certain song. So number one is to, again, listen to the chords and see if you can hear the tonic chord. Which chord feels like resolution, feels like home? Now, there's no guarantee that there is a tonic chord in the part of the music you're listening to. There probably is, but there might not be. And it's also easy to get confused on that. So again, it's not a surefire bet, it's a place you look. You say, can I hear a tonic chord? Is there one that feels like that's where the song should end? Then we can use that, and the feeling of that chord itself is the tonality. So take a listen and keep an ear out for the tonic chord. Which chord feels like home, feels like resolution? That's the sound I hear it in the bass. That's the one that feels like home to me here. It's the first chord in the progression. That's my bass impression. I'm going to find that note now here on the keyboard. So I feel pretty good about that being the answer. But if I'm not sure now, is this minor or major? I'm going to listen again for that chord. So to me it feels minor, but I'm going to check. And there's a way to check, which is playing the minor third or major third above the tonic that you think you've got, right? So I'm saying D is the tonic here. I'm going to play the minor third, which is F, and the major third, which is F sharp or labeled G flat here. And I'm going to listen to how those sound against the track. Of course, if it's a minor key, the minor third will sound correct. And if it's a major key, the major third will sound correct. So let's play it again. With the minor. Major. So anyway, confirms my suspicion. Just remember, I need to go back and select D. It's D minor, not F minor here. So D minor. So because music is what it is and is complex and has a million things going on, there's a lot of ways to make a mistake when doing this. And even experienced musicians actually make mistakes with this all the time in the same ways I'm just going to talk about. So the first one is about confusing relative major and minor keys. If you're not familiar with the concept of relative major and minor, you should really check that out because it applies directly to this and explains a lot of the mistakes that people make, or a lot of the confusion anyway that people have about figuring out the key of a song by ear. In fact, the song that I just did in the last example would have been acceptable to have the minor or the relative major because you can hear it both ways. And actually, KeySeeker does accept both answers in those cases, so that's fine. Just to show that, let's listen. Now, I said it was D. The relative major would be F. And I can hear that as the tonic too. And actually, F major would be accepted here because you can hear it both ways. Now, it's very common to hear that you should listen to the last chord or the first chord of a song to figure out what the key is. And sometimes that is the case. Sometimes a song does end on the tonic chord or begin on the tonic chord, but oftentimes it also doesn't, especially with modern music. And the issue is you don't know which it is for this song, so that's not reliable. However, those are places to look, like I've mentioned. You might want to look at the last chord or the first chord and ask yourself, does that feel minor? Does that feel major? Does it feel like the tonic? That's the important question. I hope you enjoy KeySeeker. I'd love to hear what you think and your experiences with it, so please let me know in the comments or the feedback form or wherever. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.